To many, wrestling is just a made-up sport that doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. Because wrestling is labeled as sports to entertainment, it really isn't considered as a particular form of entertainment or a proper form of entertainment or a proper form of sports. But here's the thing, we wrestling fans, we know better. And we know that professional wrestling, sports entertainment, whatever you want to call it, is one of the most iconic forms of entertainment, one of the most iconic forms of athleticism in the world today, because it combines the athletic skill that a sport, any sport, brings to the table with the storytelling aspect that keeps fans hooked on whatever program you are watching. That's the beauty of professional wrestling. And whether you're a fan of WWE, AEW, NXT, Impact Wrestling, Ring of Honor Wrestling, NWA, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Major League Wrestling, and many, many more, all the independents wrestling around the country, every single company around the world, whether you're a fan of each of them, one of them, all of them, it doesn't matter. It's all one and the same. It's professional wrestling, and we as wrestling fans, we love it, we watch it, and it is here to stay because we will never stop supporting professional wrestling. This is ACB Wrestling Talk. Welcome back to ACB Wrestling Talk. I am your host, Alexis Carrillo, and this is your main source for wrestling news and wrestling discussions. And this is just a show that I'm hoping I can get out to you daily, every single day, from Monday through Friday, right here on the ACB Wrestling Talk channel. Again, hopeful that I can deliver news and discussions to all you wrestling fans, the internet wrestling fans community. So, with that said, let's start off with something that I'm not particularly fond of, but it is big news, and it is regarding WWE's recent event at Crown Jewel in Saudi Arabia that took place on Thursday in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, where even though we had a few headlines like Lesnar finally getting revenge on Cain Velasquez and retaining his WWE Championship, and The Fiend Bray Wyatt being crowned a new WWE Universal Champion after defeating Seth Rollins in a Falls Count Anywhere, the match can't be stopped for no reason match, go figure. More headlines came about after the show when it was reported that most of the talent that had traveled to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia were not going to be able to leave the country and be able to take part in Smackdown the following night on Fox. These reports came out shortly after the Crown Jewel pay-per-view event, where tons of wrestling talent and wrestling executives started to wonder what was going to happen to Smackdown if they were not going to be able to make it. Now, I have here part of WWE's statement in regards to what really happened in this particular event. So I'm going to go ahead and read it, and then we're going to go ahead and discuss the possible repercussions this might have. So here's WWE's statement on the situation, and I quote, "More than 175 superstars, production crew, and employees boarded a 747 charter flight back to the United States on Thursday. After the door closed due to several aircraft problems, including mechanical issues, all passengers sat out on the tarmac for more than 6 hours. With SmackDown emanating live from Buffalo, New York, several superstars felt so strongly that they arranged for their own separate charter in order to make it back to the U.S. for the show. Due to unforeseen issues, that charter did not land until after the live broadcast on Fox. The remainder of WWE superstars, staff, and crew departed on a charter set to depart Saudi Arabia on Friday." And of course, if we delve more into this statement, or this part of WWE statement. They mentioned the fact that the plane that they were supposed to take back to Buffalo, New York for SmackDown had some mechanical issues, which again there are conflicting reports saying that that was not the case. It also bears to say that, you know, with this statement, a lot of fans have really gotten the mindset that WWE is essentially dividing the superstars into those who wanted to actually make the SmackDown show on Friday and would do anything to get back to SmackDown on Friday, against those who apparently weren't as committed, weren't as hardworking, weren't as whatever you want to call it, and were not gonna be taking part in this venture of trying to get back to Buffalo, New York in time for SmackDown. On social media, numerous superstars commented, among them Curtis Axel, Luke Harper, Tyson Kidd, Eric Young, Scott Dawson, Carl Anderson, and even AEW World Champion Chris Jericho regarding this entire situation. A lot of them pretty much stating that they would never do this again, that they would never head over to Saudi Arabia to take part in any event that WWE held in that kingdom, in that region. So again, this is not the type of press that WWE wants. This is not the type of press and backstage issues that WWE wants to concentrate on, or wants the fans and the press to concentrate on. They are, of course, the worldwide leader in sports entertainment, and that's not a branding, that is actually what they are. They are the #1 professional wrestling company out there. They are the #1 sports entertainment company out there. That is what they are. So when you have these cases of talent being stranded in Saudi Arabia because apparently, you know, mechanical issues, again, there are conflicting reports stating that that wasn't ever the case. There were rumors that apparently the Prince of Saudi Arabia owed Vince McMahon and WWE money from previous events, like I believe the Greatest Royal Rumble show from last year. So that's why, you know, there was a lot of tension between Saudi Arabia and WWE, and therefore the Prince of Saudi Arabia would not allow talent to head back to the States after the Crown Jewel event. Again, that's just a rumor. It hasn't been confirmed. But again, this is not the type of press, these are not the type of news that WWE wants, because they are the #1 wrestling company in the world. These type of issues put them in a very embarrassing situation, because if WWE is #1 worldwide, and this is what's going on with WWE, what's happening with the rest of the companies, and again, that's just the press's view and the fans' view from the outside looking in, looking at this entire situation. There are other reports, again, none of this other than WWE's statement has been confirmed, and WWE superstars speaking out on social media regarding the situation. But again, there are reports that state that many WWE superstars and talent have lost a bit of respect with Vince McMahon and a couple of top WWE officials, and Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman being able to get out of Saudi Arabia before the talent, and therefore the talent feeling that they were abandoned, that they were basically marooned in Saudi Arabia without any sort of protection or guidance or any sort of leader from Vince McMahon. Again, gotta state this, other than what's been confirmed, these are just rumors. And as far as Vince McMahon and top WWE officials leaving Saudi Arabia before talent, again, it's a case of Vince McMahon is, again, the boss, and, you know, even though he does have a responsibility to take care of the talent, to look over the talent, he also has to take care of WWE business in the United States. He has to take care of XFL business in the United States. Vince McMahon is a businessman. He is the CEO of WWE. I believe he is still the chairman of the board in WWE, and therefore, again, he is not a babysitter. He is not there to just chaperone every WWE superstar out there. That's just my take on this situation, because Vince McMahon has other issues to deal with other than just babysitting these superstars. Again, this is just my take on the situation, and eventually, you never think of this situation of WWE talent being stranded in a country about 14 hours away from the United States. You never think of that circumstance. You never think of that situation. So again, if Vince McMahon left before these problems arose, then I really don't think he should take much of the blame. Again, this is my situation. I'm just giving my opinion here. What do you think? Do you agree with most WWE fans out there? Are you mad at Vince McMahon for essentially quote unquote abandoning the talent, or do you think he didn't know that was going to happen? Problems occurred after he left for the U.S., so he doesn't have any fault in it. Leave your thoughts, comments, and predictions in the comments section below. Now, even though this is a terrible situation that happened to WWE superstars, and I'm glad that they were able to make it back home safely. I would understand that they must have been frustrated with the entire wait. Not being able to see their families. Again, a 14-hour flight to Saudi Arabia, 14-hour flight from Saudi Arabia, plus the almost 24 hours that they had to wait to get out of that country. Again, so, best news out of there is that they are back in the U.S. They are back here after that tumultuous Crown Jewel event. But if you do look at the silver lining, again, not trying to be, not trying to kick WWE talent while they're down, but looking at the silver lining, Smackdown had to be rewritten because obviously top stars that were stranded in Saudi Arabia weren't going to be able to make it to Friday's live show or live broadcast on Fox, so they kind of rewrote the entire show, and they added a little bit of yellow and black NXT flavor to the mix, because at Crown Jewel on Thursday, it was announced that NXT would, for the first time, the NXT brand, the yellow and black brand, would be taking part in Survivor Series. And boy, did the rewriting process and what actually happened on TV, boy, did they make a statement, because they pretty much dominated the entire night. Whether they beat current WWE superstars or they beat down current WWE superstars, NXT made a statement, of course, ending it with the cherry on top, the main creative force, Triple H, coming out. Of course, NXT being his baby, he pretty much declared war on both Raw and SmackDown, and with the terrible situation that happened at Saudi Arabia, now with this rewrite of SmackDown, we have NXT invading the blue brand. Now we have a little bit of stuff to look forward to on tonight's broadcast of Monday Night Raw, because it'll be interesting to see if NXT tries to invade Raw and what kind of response Raw superstars have against the yellow and black brand. Again, what happened on SmackDown is that NXT came in at the beginning of the show. Sure, they attacked a few. I think they attacked Bayley. I think Shayna Baszler attacked Bayley at the beginning of the show. So, again, at the beginning of the show, it wasn't certain if it was a total invasion. It could have just been that the heel Shayna Baszler, heel NXT Women's Champion, was just attacking a SmackDown superstar. But by the end of the night, it was clear that NXT was declaring war. They were in to pretty much attack WWE proper. So again, something to look forward to on Monday Night Raw, something to look forward to this Friday on SmackDown. And again, this entire bad situation that happened after Crown Jewel has led to a very interesting situation where NXT is now against Raw and Smackdown, and that might bring a little bit more interest and a little bit more viewers to NXT on the USA Network on Wednesday nights. So again, just looking at the silver lining here, but what do you think? You know, would you have rewritten the entire show to include NXT's Invasion, even if top stars were able to make it back to the show? Or what would you have done in this scenario? Leave your thoughts, comments, and predictions in the comment section below. And just to finish off this trend of WWE backstage drama, there's a whole Jordan Myles situation. The superstar formerly known as ACH has pretty much gone on social media, on Twitter, on Instagram, and has pretty much said that WWE doesn't have respect for the African American community. This after WWE released a Jordan Myles t-shirt where it was basically a black t-shirt with Jordan Myles across the chest in a teeth way, again, in a teeth way white, and a red outer lining that made it seem like lips or mouth. So essentially, and if I'm mistaken, forgive me. Again, if I'm mistaken, forgive me. But essentially, you know, Jordan Myles was accusing of a racist t-shirt for Jordan Myles. A racial attack by WWE to Jordan Myles. Just want to state right now from the start, and before I do, again, if you've been following the channel for quite a while, you know I'm not used to talking for a long extended period of time, so I've come prepared this time. So I've got myself some water. So just want to state right now, in 2019, it is preposterous and it shouldn't happen anymore. None of this should happen anymore. The fact that we are still talking about racial attacks, racial slurs, that kind of stuff. That shouldn't happen ever. That shouldn't be assumed ever. And again, I believe that WWE obviously did not want to basically create a what's the word? A racist t-shirt, a racist merch for Jordan Myles. I cannot believe that because, like I said, WWE is the #1 wrestling company in the world, and if this was on purpose, if this entire new situation with Jordan Myles was on purpose, again, that's embarrassing as hell, and it's tough, and it puts professional wrestling and sports entertainment in a very tough position. Because again, I doubt that WWE's marketing and t-shirt design, graphic design team went into a conference room and just called out that Jordan Myles, this 2019 NXT Breakout Tournament winner that by all accounts and purposes Triple H, the head of NXT, was firmly behind to be put over as a top star for NXT for years to come. It's hard to believe that they would get into a conference room and say, let's create a racial shirt for Jordan Myles. Let's offend him racially. That's hard to believe for me, and I'm very certain it's hard to believe for many of you fans out there. So just wanted to put that out there. Again, with the way the shirt looks, it's open to a misunderstanding. because like Booker T spoke about on his podcast, WWE is not gonna actually on purpose try to attack someone in any way, homophobic, racially, in any way possible. That's not good business. That's not a good image for WWE. And like Booker T stated, you know, the way Jordan Myles responded via social media, that's now the way to respond in today's world, unfortunately. I can't tell you how many times I've been pissed off at my day job and wanted to post something on social media. And again, just entirely different situation. I'm just talking about, speaking out and being frustrated and being, in Jordan Myles' case, insulted. I'm not equating any problems I have with whatever this is. You know, obviously, racist remarks or racial racial attacks, racial insults aside. I'm definitely not comparing situations. I'm just saying that whenever someone is offended, whenever someone is frustrated, you know, everybody wants to be heard, and right now with social media, that's the most easiest way to do it. And that's how Jordan Myles reacted in this situation. Again, I don't condone any racist remarks of any part. I mean, it's still idiotic to me that human beings around the world still resort to that kind of cowardly insults. Because I'm a soccer fan, okay? And again, just stay with me. I'm a soccer fan. And recently in Italy, you know, there's been a ton of racist chants against African American black players. That pisses the hell out of me. That's an injustice. And again, because of the color of my skin right now, I can't really relate to it. But it does piss me off. It's an injustice. I wish it wouldn't happen. I wish I could just brainwash every single human being out there to not resort to such cowardly and stupid and idiotic and whatever you want to call it tactics. But again. So with that said, hopefully this situation gets resolved. Hopefully Jordan Myles and WWE can get into a room and fix these things out, because as far as reports say, Jordan Myles is not at the Performance Center in Orlando. He hasn't been on NXT TV in quite a while. And, you know, they just have to fix this situation because, like I said, it's bad press. Extremely bad press for WWE, regardless of if it was a misunderstanding or not. Because today, in today's social media clickbait, 1 to 5 second attention span, all people read are headlines. And that's where most people tend to fall in accusations. So, on that note, let's move on. Like I said, hopefully they're able to resolve the situation. Back to more positive things. This past Tuesday night, Impact Wrestling made their premiere on Access TV, and they made quite a statement as the leader of Ohio versus Everything. Sami Callihan got his rematch against Brian Cage inside a steel cage for the Impact World Championship. And he ended up making it count because Sami Callihan walked out of Windsor, Ontario, Canada, the new Impact World Heavyweight Champion after spiking and power driving Brian Cage off the top rope inside the steel cage and pinning him 1, 2, 3. So Sami Callihan wins the world title in the exact same way I wish he wouldn't have. Because I stated it in my Bound for Glory Fallout video that you can find right here on the channel. Go find it. I stated that, okay, Brian Cage retained his world title at Bound for Glory. The company's behind him. Brian Cage is the face of Impact Wrestling. They're going to move into 2020 with Brian Cage as the face and as the world champion of the company. And I said, this better not be another case of Impact Wrestling advertising a TV episode of a rematch for the world title. A rematch from the Bound for Glory pay-per-view, the biggest pay-per-view of the year. A rematch from the biggest pay-per-view of the year inside a steel cage in a non-pay-per-view episode of Impact Wrestling. This better not be that situation. And even worse, this better not be a situation of Sami Callihan wins the Impact World title inside a steel cage on the premiere of AXS TV because it's the premiere of Impact Wrestling on AXS TV. And we want to make history and we want to make headlines. I stated that I did not want that to happen because they've done that so many times in the past. 2007, again, maybe it might not have been the exact same situation, the exact same circumstance of moving to a new network. But 2007, Sting beats Kurt Angle in the main event of Bound for Glory for the world title. One episode later on Impact, I think on this very same Thursday, after Bound for Glory, Kurt Angle gets his rematch. Kurt Angle beats Sting and becomes world champion once again. And we move over to 2011, where we had the winner of the 2011 Bound for Glory series, Bobby Roode, challenging Kurt Angle for the Impact World Championship. And every single pundit, every single fan out there, including myself, I was still just a kid back then, including myself, said that Bobby Roode had to beat Kurt Angle in the main event of Bound for Glory in Philadelphia and be crowned the brand new face of the company. Did that happen? No. Kurt Angle retained, and just 4 nights later, at the Impact Zone, we got a world title match where Kurt Angle, who was clearly hurt at the pay-per-view, had to wrestle, what was it, a 2, 3, 4 minute match against not Bobby Roode, his Beer Money partner and Fortune team member, James Storm, and Kurt Angle lost the title and he had a title change on an Impact TV instead of a pay-per-view that people actually paid to watch. And finally, we move over to 2016. Bound for Glory again, the biggest pay-per-view of the year. You had Bobby Lashley, the unstoppable force Bobby Lashley, defending the Impact World title against the man who was supposed to lead Impact Wrestling into the future at the face of the company. Once again, EC3, Ethan Carter III, in the main event. What happened? Lashley retained, and just a few nights later, Eddie Edwards beat Bobby Lashley to become the brand new Impact World Champion. So this is not a case of, oh, it's just happened for the very first time. This is a case of Impact just wants to create headlines via TV. This is just from my view. And yes, I get pissed. Clearly, I get pissed because fans pay to see these big events for Impact Wrestling. And let me tell you, not many fans actually purchase these pay-per-view events. Not many fans. So for them to go out of their way and actually have the attitude of, we gave you one hell of an event, we gave you one hell of a match at the pay-per-view, that's okay, that's enough. But a few nights later, we'll give you what we actually want to give you, what we actually want to run with towards the future. And that's what they did right here. Again, That's just my take on the situation. I did not want that to happen. It ended up happening. It's out of my control. And right now, I've been able to vent. So thank you for that. Thank you for, putting up with that. What's in the future? I'm certainly looking forward to OVE reigning supreme over Impact Wrestling for the next few months. I'm certainly curious to see what kind of champion Sami Callihan is, or turns out to be. Because again, if you go back to the Bound for Glory preview, again, you can find it right here on the ACB Wrestling Talk channel. I predicted that Sami Callihan was going to beat Brian Cage at Bound for Glory and become the new world champion. That didn't happen. It does now on Access TV. So again, been behind Sami Callihan's corner right from the start from this feud. So it's going to be really interesting to see what Impact Wrestling does. One last final note. Sami Callihan beat Brian Cage for the world title, and then just a few moments later, you have Tessa Blanchard walk out. Again, creating headlines, making people excited, yes, but a little bit disrespectful to the current feud, to the current program that you're still involved in. Because it's going to be pretty hard to explain why Brian Cage is not going to go after Callihan for a rematch, for his world title, for his wife, for his daughter, after everything Callihan has done to him. It's going to be interesting to explain that kind of situation, and to just have Tessa Blanchard come out and pretty much exclaim or pretty much poise herself as the next challenger for the Impact World title and pretty much just sweep Brian Cage under the rug. That's not something I was completely agreeing with, to say the least. But other than that, looking forward to Callihan reigning supreme, OVE being the main stable on Impact Wrestling right now on Access TV. Definitely looking forward to that. And finally, Impact Wrestling has a much slicker look, red branding, and I see it, it's back. Oh, how it's back, how I missed it. That crane that lets us, that allows the fans to give us a mobile view of the entire arena. That's to me, that's the definition of a well put together show, at least a whole lot better previously with Impact Wrestling. I'm just going to put it out there. That is just it. And finally, the last news piece I'm here to talk about is the fact that Ring of Honor has had some issues over the past year after losing their main top stars, their main American top draws to All Elite Wrestling. Now we have the Women of Honor World Champion Kelly Klein coming out and pretty much calling Ring of Honor out on the fact that it doesn't seem like they have a concussion protocol, which is extremely delicate. It's, this kind of thing shouldn't happen simply because professional wrestling, sports, entertainment, it's a physical sport. Okay? And with how hard-hitting Ring of Honor wrestling can be, one expects that they have to be prepared for any kind of situation, especially since at the end of it all, it's not about the wrestling, it's not about the money, it's not about entertaining the fans. To me, the bottom line is, get your entertainment, get your money, get your show. But the number one priority is safety. The number one priority is protecting the stars that allow everything to happen, that allow everything to take place. Protecting their health, protecting their well-being every single time. If someone doesn't have to do something to put their life or their career on the line, don't have them do it. It's not worth it for a cheap pop that in today's world goes away like that. You get your 5 minutes of fame and then everyone moves on. It's not worth it. So something any company, any professional sport really, should have a concussion protocol, because one of the most important things in human health, at least to me, has to be the mental health. If you're not okay up here, what else are you going to be able to do? So, something that Ring of Honor has to fix, definitely. Definitely. And certainly Ring of Honor Wrestling has dropped down the totem pole quite a bit, because they're under WWE, they're under AEW, they're under NXT, they're under, in my opinion, Impact Wrestling, they're under New Japan Pro Wrestling. I watched NWA over Ring of Honor. You know, I've watched Ring of Honor before, haven't really gotten into it. I might get back into it right now with this show. So again, just every single wrestling company out there should protect their actives, should protect their employees, in this case, the professional wrestlers who are putting their careers and their lives on the line to entertain the fans and to produce and draw money for the company. So with that said, this has been ACB Wrestling Talk. Again, I just want to put this out there. It's a work in progress. Obviously, I'm pretty green in terms of being a host. I'm not gonna lie. I'm trying to be as aware of it, as self-aware of it as possible, and I will definitely work on my hosting abilities, work on my knowledge of every single wrestling news situation out there. That is something that will certainly become my very top first priority. And one thing that I will not promise, but I will say right now, is I hope that I am able to produce this show on a daily basis, Monday through Friday. And I hope you can join me, simply because, again, I have to worry about a day job. I recently got let go from my day job, so I've been unemployed, literally. I haven't been able to properly pay my bills and properly earn an income. So that's why I haven't been posting as consistently as I had in the past. I'm hoping that situation changes in the future, and I'm hoping that with me trying to put a little bit more effort into these shows, put a little bit more effort into the channel, hopefully this can be built into something that you wrestling fans can enjoy, and something that I can, place in my portfolio as bragging rights in terms of possibly becoming a host of any gig out there. So with that said, I hope you join me for the next episode of ACB Wrestling Talk. Again, hoping I can do it on a daily basis. So, barring any unfortunate circumstances, I'll see you tomorrow on another edition of ACB Wrestling Talk. Thank you for joining me. I've been Alexis Carrillo. That's it for me. Till next time.